Let me get do you have your phone on you?
I do.
Can you check and see once we're on here if we're live?
So I just go to Facebook and search you, right?
Yes, we should be live right now. We might be. I think we are. Yes, we are.
Okay. I'm like, I can't tell. Search Trisha's.
Okay. You're good. I think we are.
Okay.
All right, guys. Welcome. This is like a freaking, I don't know, the last couple of days have been very much interviewee. And I love interviewing because I love connection. And I have Dr. J with us today. She is one of the 12 of us that will be in the Take Charge Challenge next week. It starts on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Is that right? The 29th, 30th, and 1st of October. So right into that October part, which is for all of you watching that are business owners, is the perfect time to jump in as we dive into the last quarter of the year and start to get crystal clear on what we want next in our lives. And one of the most amazing presenters is Dr. J. Because of what she's presenting, I love. I'm going to be popping on there myself to learn about the great 8 dimensions of your life. So welcome, Dr. J. Tell us, hello, she's calling in from Colorado. Tell us a little bit about your presentation and why you decided to go with this topic of the great 8 dimensions of your life.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Trisha. And hello to all of Trisha's people and community. It's wonderful to connect. As Trisha mentioned, like connection's my jam too. I love people. I have like literally goosebumps. I'm like, yay, connection. After quarantine, I value it even more. I'm a total people person. So this is sadly how we connect with people now.
Amazingly.
But it is so exciting. I get excited nowadays to go to Sprouts, which is like our local kind of fresh grocery store. And they just put one into my neighborhood. And I'm like, yay, I'm going to Sprouts. Like, I get so excited. Like, I might see a person.
Anytime you can see people, baby.
Yeah. So the great 8 dimensions for me are super personal because I had led a career that has been this wild, fun adventure. I actually started my career during the .com boom and moved to San Francisco for a boy. Don't do that, ladies. If you haven't done that yet, don't you do it. Let me tell you, I ended up discovering he was not the one for me and now was living in the Bay Area on a starting teacher's salary of $24,000 a year. So I was homeless, living in my Honda Civic when I left, and took a second job actually at Whole Foods so that I wouldn't be homeless for quite as many hours of the day. And literally slept in my car for 2 weeks until another teacher said, gosh, you sure are at school really early and you stay really late. And I ended up moving in with her and had just an amazing experience starting my career. And I'm so thankful for the generosity of that individual who just welcomed me in. And from there, literally built a career where now I train leaders across the globe. Prior to this, I was leading a big grant supporting the development of every educator in the state of Colorado. Before that, I had founded downtown Denver's first elementary school. I've had the privilege of advising the White House, the Senate, the Gates Foundation in education, which was my sweet spot. And every time, what I noticed as my career grew was every time I had like this kind of scared yet really excited feeling, right? Challenging yourself, learning to chase the challenge, yet do it in a way that brings you joy, right? Right now, especially, no one's looking for more challenge in our lives. But if you find the right challenge that's a match from your skill set and where you want to grow, challenge is actually really exciting, right? I was telling a customer this morning in a meeting, I said, you know what's interesting? No one wakes up going, how could I do as little as possible today? And then at the end of the day, feeling great. Like that's not how we're meant to live. At the end of the day, one thing that's been good about my journey is I've always chased the challenge. I've always grown. And at the end of each day, I go to bed proud. Like, I'm like, wow, I didn't know I could do that. Yeah. And then it's kind of this cool feeling that gets you really excited. Yet at the end of all of this journey, what I realized when I was founding my school is I was starting to go to bed, not as joyful. It wasn't all that I thought it'd be cracked up to be, right? I thought this was going to be the coolest thing ever. And it was a little bit like a roller coaster. Anyone who's an entrepreneur knows this story, right? You get real excited and then you get real low and things don't go well. And then you get excited again. You got all these wins and losses that are kind of tallying.
Oh, the victories and the suffrage.
Oh, it's like totally, right? You're like, woo, woo. And you're just like, oh my gosh, I don't know.
Exhausting.
If I could, like, it is so tiring, just emotionally tiring, right?
When it's not in alignment, not in alignment.
And so I realized there was a day where I had a board member that I was composing my board, and this person was starting to become a really big bully in my life. And I had never had a bully before. And so, and it was professional, right? And it was my baby, it was my school.
Yeah,
and I thought, I don't really know how to deal with this. And I was so nervous and insecure that I brought I put my phone on mute. I'm on the call, right? I put my phone on mute. I get my daughter into her room, pull out a few toys. And I was like, sweetheart, mommy will make you dinner in about 30 minutes, right? We're pushing it. It's 5. I picked her up at 5. I was that working professional mom that was like, I don't have enough hours in a day. I'm picking her up at 5. I'm rushing home. I can't wait to get her to bed because I have more work to do. And from like 7:30 or 8:30 at bedtime, I'm working till 2.
And I want to note for the people that are listening, this is a single mother doing all of this at the same time. Like,
the juggle is real, ladies. The juggle is real. Yes. And even if you're not a single mom, right? We're all juggling tons of things.
All the time. Yes.
Like Trisha growing her career and boom, 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 boom. And that juggle's real too. So yes. It is very important to honor all of us have a real journey.
Totally.
I always joke with my friends who have husbands. I'm like, you actually have a lot more work to do than I do. That's true. Work right there. So I had actually, this is my most horrible mom moment. And those of you who are moms, you have one, right? And this is hopefully like you can relate. I had put some Skittles in a little bowl, brought them in while I interject, come off of mute, talk, make it sound like I'm like fully present, put it back on mute, run into my daughter at dinner time and say, sweetheart, mommy will make you dinner in about 30 minutes. And the minute I did that, I got off of that call and I said, never again. Never again will work come before the one I love the most. It gives me chills because now, look at this. Now I don't miss a field trip. I don't miss a parent-teacher conference. I don't miss an opportunity to volunteer in her school. With quarantine, I'm eavesdropping on all her lessons, checking in. And I'm calm and peaceful doing it, right? I'm not like chicken with my head cut off like I used to do. I volunteer and teach in her classroom and join. And everyone's like, yay, it's Dr. J Day. And I'm like, oh, it makes my heart so happy. I know all of her friends. And that is more important than ever. And so what I learned in this journey was that my whole life had been career focused because I wanted to be successful, right? Like, just like all of us, we want to be successful in our lives and we're taught to think about our careers. And then as a mom, I wanted to role model that for my daughter. I wanted her to see like, this is what women look like. And it's actually, there's a lot of research in the scholarly literature on education, how beneficial it is for a kid to see their mom working. So for those of you who are working moms, no, you're doing it right? We're always stressed. We feel like we're not doing good enough at our job. We're not doing good enough at home, but know that you are doing the right thing for your kid. It is based on research, the best thing you could be modeling for your child is working. And they build that work ethic and role modeling. Yet I realized something was missing, right? That my career was thriving, but here I am like giving my daughter Skittles at dinner time. Yeah. Not cool. So I started to think, what would my life be like? I should confess, I was born with a planner in my hand. Like, I have been planning my life since high school.
Very true. Not all of us are there.
Hot pink 3-ring binder with like when I'm going to join the honor society, when I'm going to do this, when I'm going to graduate, where I'm going to college. Like, I had all these places I wanted to live with my dreams.
Where do you think that comes from?
Where do I think it comes from? I've been this way for so long, I don't even know.
Really?
I don't know where, like for me, it's as long as I could remember, I've always been a planner.
I wonder what that moment was. I'm always fascinated by those moments that shift into like this trajectory of just a planning machine. Like, who was it?
For this one, I don't have a turning point. There are definitely turning points. I call them pivot points in my course. Yeah. There's always pivot points, but this is one of those things where I've just always been this way, right? I've always been a teacher too. I think it's because I'm the oldest of 3. And I really just liked bossing my siblings around. Yeah. I like telling people what to do, which turns out is perfect for teaching.
So tell me how this meshed in and how you birthed this the grade 8.
Yeah, so I started to look at what was missing, right? Travel was missing, quality relationships were missing, financial management was missing. I was grinding and hustling for a whopping 60 grand a year that I had fundraised myself,
Yes.
right? So I was struggling on all fronts. I told Trisha as we prepared for this today, how there was this moment in my life where I was scared to go to the mailbox. Remember the days when bills came in these things called envelopes? And you'd have to go to the mailbox, get the envelopes, open them all up, and in there, inside was how much you owed.
Yeah.
Now I have, like then it shifted to avoiding email. Being like, well, but it's kind of funny. I was scared to go to the mailbox because I knew there were bills I couldn't afford, right? And it was so hard. Being an educator, kudos to all of my fellow educators. It is a hard job, and it doesn't pay well, right? Like I was paid in so many ways. None of them were financial though. And so I really struggled, especially as a single mom, to provide for myself and my child. And I say myself first intentionally because this is also important. Learning to put yourself first helps you fill. You can't, if you're not full, picture a coffee pot, right? You can't pour from an empty coffee pot to fill everyone's mugs. So you got to fill yourself first.
The oxygen mask on
I
the
should use
plane.
hydration and water as an analogy.
No, it's a great analogy. I love that. I always use the oxygen mask in the plane.
Yes.
You got to put that on first if you were on to help anybody else, especially the children on the freaking plane.
And so I realized there was a lot of aspects missing. I've always been big on vision boarding and I love doing that. I've realized that scrapbooking it left a lot out. So I've created a different vision board protocol that I like to use. And I try when I'm at my best to do it quarterly. Realistically, it ends up happening 3 times a year because I tend to take summers off, especially now as a mom. I want to be with my girl. And so 3 times a year, and I lay the foundation hard in Q4. So just like Trisha said, Q4, amazing things don't start January. No, all senior execs start planning in Q4. Yes. Magic doesn't happen just boom, it's January 1st. Like you need to realize everything that you do from this quarter forward. October begins next week, people. Get in the Take Charge Challenge. Right? Like you got to get into these trainings to get yourself pumped. We're going to pump you up. Who said that? Was that like Arnold Schwarzenegger or something?
Yeah.
I don't know if I just pulled an Arnold. Oh my gosh. Like I've never done that before in a training.
I'm so glad that happened here.
I'm here to pump you up. If you are online, I love you. Because I don't know where that came from. That just was like one of those ideas.
No, but listen, that's what happens when you get a group of 12 high-performing business owners on a freaking call, right? Yes. And you're watching this, your energy, like I feel so much more energetic just being in Jay's presence for this 15-minute like live video. Like imagine if you get on for 3 days with 12 of us and but you leave after having Q&A with your people too. Like you leave like having a solid plan of attack. And that's why like there's people teaching tapping, like I'm teaching about influence and communication. Jay's teaching about this 8 great dimensions, right? And so from a planning person who plans herself, it's like, I mean, Jay, real quick, like what are people going to take away once they have this plan laid out that you're going to walk through?
Absolutely. So we'll go through the great 8 dimensions of life. So you can reveal some of your blind spots, just like I did, right? Where I was like, oh my gosh, my career is rocking, but health and wellness wasn't so great. I worked myself into the hospital. My relationships, as I mentioned, weren't as great as they could be, right? I was overall, if it wasn't career related, I missed out on meetings with friends, former students' graduations. There were lots of things I missed out on. I love that I've built and architected a life right now that transcends the ordinary. It's not, I don't live in the hamster wheel anymore. Wake up, roll out, exhausted, hit the pillow and do it all again. That's not how we're meant to be living. So what you get out of this is the great 8 dimensions. And then we'll also go into your legacy statement. And I'm going to show you a tool that I guarantee you've never seen before because I learned it at MIT and I adapted it for children. And it's way easier. It was a 16 rung big thinking thing. And I was like, nope, we're going to bring this down to 4 to 5. So you're going to have a way to a specific tool to transform your thinking, because when you reframe your thinking, you can reclaim your life. I'm a big believer in that. So I'm going to say it again, reframe your thinking to reclaim your life. Right now, life is crazier than it's ever been for every single one of us. which means we need to be more, I'm going to just put it out there, be more kind, love on people. We're all like icebergs. What you see at the tip of the iceberg is one piece of that person, and underneath there's a lot of things people are going through. I reached out to a friend yesterday just to say, hey, I'm thinking of you. And this individual had let me know of 3 deaths in their family, one person who's been displaced and lost their home. And I thought, wow, because their tip of the iceberg, you would think they are so with it, they are bomb. And that was what was going on underneath. So just a plug to be great humans right now. It's more important now than ever before for us to think about these dimensions and for us to start architecting a life that transcends the ordinary, because you can let this defeat you or you can let it build you. And so this is a time for you to build. So you will leave with knowledge of the grade 8 dimensions, an assessment so that you can really look critically at those, some celebration because you've earned it, and a strategic plan. So you will have those, that will be your outcome, is having that strategic plan. For you, for me, that made me wake up differently every day. My energy was different every day. My joy was different every day. And now I live the life of my wildest dreams. I never thought I would go from that moment where I told you I was living in my car to owning a $750,000 home, and all by myself, no maintenance, no child support, none of it. And so it feels really good to have that level of command of your life. And that's my wish for everyone on the planet, right? Is to say, I am living the life of my wildest dreams. It keeps getting better and better, and I can't believe it. Like, that is going to be the story.
You know what I think about just from all of that is like the power of reflection, right? Which I'm constantly, because most people don't take on serious reflection and strategic thinking and big picture thinking by themselves, right? Because they also, even if they do, they will constantly work at things that are kind of like thinking small sometimes and not really thinking bigger than what they actually could do, like what their true potential is. And without the reflection piece, it's really hard to have any clarity about what's to come, especially in the dumpster fire of a year that we've had so far.
And so, dumpster fire, yes.
Well, I mean, it has been, right? And what I want to see from, and I'm talking to my clients about this right now, is like, I want to see you crush it by 2021. Like, I want you to head out of this year like blazing, like on fire, like feeling amazing, because that's what we get. That's what growth is. That's what growth feels like. Go through this turbulent time, shitty, super shitty, even more shitty. We're still in quarantine, not thinking, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, well, I could learn from this and adapt, or I could sit here and wait. And it's like, which one?
The scary part too is we all, you know, you've been hearing this new normal. We will not ever go back to life as we know it. And that has been the hardest realization for me. What we've seen, I work with a few different organizations, and one has done research with thousands of people from 14 organizations, some as large as the tech giants that you know that come to mind whenever I say that, to very small influential nonprofits. And what's super fascinating is if you looked at the way they described their baseline energy at the beginning of the year, and then when second quarter and third quarter hit and we hit quarantine, it was like this surge of energy and productivity, because we all went, yes, we can do this, right? We got fired up. We recognized there was some novelty with it, right? We were all in our homes, adapting to life and trying to prove to ourselves that we could survive. So our energy was high. As we come into Q4, this could be possibly the hardest time that those of us living on the planet right now. I say that because people have been through some really hard things before. So hold on to hope, my friends. We've made it before, we'll make it again. Yet also realize we personally, those of us alive right now, haven't faced what we're about ready to face. If you're in the United States, we've got a very contentious election and the looming fate of that burdens certain people who are politically involved. We also have facing us a lot of people who are working on less income than they've ever had before during the holidays, at a time when we're typically really generous and able to give, and people who might not be able to do that right now. And so it is definitely important to find things that are going to fuel you. And that's why the 12 of us have come together to say, hey, we love working with each other. That's why we're doing this on the cheap, because we love each other. We're all a little self-serving. And it's one of our tools to keep joyful, right? Our weekly meetings preparing for you, those are our times of being joyful. And we lift each other up. we want to also provide an opportunity for you to be lifted up. And so that's why we're doing this. We all have amazing skills, background, knowledge, and expertise. And we know that this is our time to share that, to distribute that knowledge so that everyone else in the world can have that little bit of uplift that we've experienced from each other.
I think that like totally nails it. And in terms of just uplifting, and getting people to think differently and think outside of their normal in-home quarantine box.
Yes. We're literally thinking inside the box right now, right?
We are, yeah. And so we have to be able to, what I hear when you say that is have that support squad. I call it a support squad, right?
I love that.
Having people outside of your norm to bounce ideas off and ask questions to. At the end of each of these trainings, there's Q&A. So it's like, to be able to ask personal questions that you have to an expert that can walk you through this particular 8 dimensions, or with mine, the influence and like communication issues that are going on. It's like, to be able to have that back and forth and that sounding board is just so critical to up-leveling yourself. So Dr. J, thank you, baby, for coming on today.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Great to see you next week. Like, we are
so I know, we're so pumped. I'm going to put the link somewhere in here and you'll see that. So take a look at the page, look at all the different speakers and what their topics are. We have that on the page. The VIP option includes books being sent to your home, resources from every single tools, like little packages. Like I give a representational test at the end of mine, which is like how to find out whether you're kinesthetic, auditory, digital, visual, auditory, and like where you are in that range at this stage of your life, so that you can start to work with people. So you're going to be getting different tools like that. So I always push for the VIP option, and you can watch all the replays. So that is it. Thanks guys for watching today. And thanks Dr. J for being here.
Thank you. Bye everyone. Hope to see you next week. Woo woo. We're going to pump you up.